Here we are again.
And here we are, yet again.
Juwan next to Don.
Except for my STEEZ, man. We know what the fuck going on, man. We fucking back again, man. One more again.
Another year, another predictions list, man. Another predictions, man. We here to let y'all know how we think the AFL season's gonna go. And if, look at the tall, bro. For y'all who didn't know, this is a video that started everything for us. This is the first video that we dropped on our channel right when we had started getting into footy. So this is kind of an anniversary video, and it should be dropping on the anniversary date. So we definitely excited to bring this to y'all. You know what I'm saying, man?
Oh man, I guess I'll thank y'all again. You know we always thank y'all, man, but this is a little special, man, especially for the people who've been rocking with us for like a whole year, man, and just seeing the evolution of us as content creators, but not only that, as Australian rules football players as well, and team managers or whatever you want to call it. Just appreciate y'all for tagging along, man. Y'all give us a little motivation every time that y'all show us love every time. We look forward to blessing y'all this year, man. And why not start it off with the same video that popped us off to begin with? Like he said, man, season prediction video. And we'll let you know what we think this year, man, with a whole year of knowledge under our belt, man.
For sure, for sure. All right, man, getting right into my list, man. At 18, getting the wooden spoon spot. I think the Hawks are deserving of the wooden spoon, man. I don't, from what I've seen preseason and trial match and everything, they just don't seem to have it together right now. With the new coach, it's just not looking good for them, man. I just don't. They might come together towards the end of the season. They might be the North this year, but right now they getting the wooden spoon for me.
All right, so I guess I'll just follow up and go ahead and say the same thing, man. I think Hawks are definitely about to. Well, I guess I won't say definitely, but I think they will be awarded the wooden spoon this year. Got to watch them a little bit during the preseason. Got to watch them versus, what was it, Richmond, I think. And there was a lot of issues as far as the class with the ball, I guess you could say. And if you don't know what that means, that's pretty much how effectively you can dispose the ball and put your team in a better position to move the ball forward and score, create a scoring chain, scoring involvement, whatever. And they didn't, I don't know, they just, as we all know, they're still trying to fight. Well, they did try and fight the rebuild last year. They lost Clarko this year, so now they have a new coach coming in, which always welcomes growing pains every year. And just without a Hall of Fame coach being around and being able to be there as a rebounder or somebody to be able to check in with, I think they'll be wooden spoon, man. They'll have the tough pains, but I think they will still be a slightly exciting team, though. They have some nice pieces, though, but not quite good enough.
Yeah, someone to look out for that team, I would say CJ. Got him on some of my fantasy things, so man, definitely hoping CJ plays good at the very least.
Yeah, and I like Will Day as well on the back line as well. He's pretty nice, man, but injury got him last year in his rookie year, so see what they can do, man. Still got some consistency to go through.
So moving on to the 17th spot, I got Gold Coast. Gold Coast is coming into this season with a few missing players, and they just don't have that winning record. They are known to be a bottom of the list team, and I don't think they made enough changes over the offseason to really change that. I'm still like, there's players that I like. I like Tuke Miller. I think he's a great player. I like Lukosius. I think he's going to have a good year this year. I'm hoping he does. But they're just not a winning side yet until they kind of make that winning attitude. I just don't see them being that.
I can respect that. So my 17th spot, I'm not actually going to agree with you though this time, man. I think this time around I'm about to go to North. I do have them it doesn't seem like an improvement just moving up one spot, but it is, and I think I do have them winning a couple more games than they did last year. A reason for North is I think they still have they got some, matter of fact, they got Cunnington being out still with the testicular cancer issue that he's been coming across. Wish for his well-being and health, but he's a player who definitely had them a little stabilized whenever they needed that, and I don't know if he'll be around for that. They lost. No, they actually gained Hugh Greenwood, so that was a little improvement. So I think they'll get that. They got that for free, pretty much. Gold Coast, who you pitched to be at the 17th spot, did some dumb shit by putting him on the rookie ladder, on the rookie draft. Delisted him in hopes to get him in the rookie draft, and Melbourne actually grabbed him, which was a dumbass move for them.
I don't know why they did it.
I have no fucking clue why they did that shit either, bro. But North, I'm hoping for Cam Zurhar to turn up a little bit more. Have another leap of improvement this year. Luke Davies-Uniacke as well. I wasn't too high on him last year, but he had spurts as well that he did nice. You got Zeeble on the back line, so you got a couple players, man. Taron Thomas, he actually looked very good in preseason. So, like I said, long story short, you're gonna have improvement, but I don't think they'll make drastic enough improvements to move up a couple spots up the ladder. So, keep working hard, North, and I can see a bright future for you.
Player I'm looking forward to for North, just throwing this in there, Jason Horne-Francis, bro, #1 pick. So I expect him to come in and make a difference for them. That's why moving, I can't even say that, but that's why I think they're a little higher on my list than yours.
I also think I think North needs more than just Nick Larkey up forward, bro. That's like, it seems like their only target up forward at this moment.
Yeah.
And maybe Goldstein, but he old, bro. Like, you can't rely on him. You know what I'm saying? You can't rely on him.
Ben McCall straight?
He shot nigga in the back.
I'm tripping. I'm tripping.
Yep.
I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Unless they want to throw him forward, he might be better up forward. You never fucking know. Man, yeah. 16, man. Move on.
All right, 16. I got the Collingwood Magpies, man. I was actually surprised myself having them this low. Not saying that they don't deserve it. I do think they are kind of the bottom of the barrel team, but I was still surprised. I did look how I did this. I did the ladder prediction. I actually did my own just off my head. Then I did the ladder prediction on AFL, and they were just low on both my lists. I was like, shit, it's meant to be. I don't know. It's like they have good players, but they're just, I don't know what it is about them. They just don't seem to. I don't see them winning like that, and that's really what it comes down to with the Magpies.
Yeah, it's funny. So our list is about to be pretty different, I guess. All right, so my 16th spot, I got the Adelaide Crows. I wanted to put them a little higher, bro. I did want to put them higher, but I'm not convinced enough yet. Especially up forward, bro. I'm not convinced yet. So I like their midfield though. I do like the midfield that they have, bro. Especially when they're all shooting on all cylinders. They do look good, and we've been on the record to agree that they've been playing like a highlight team. But when they do play good footy, they move the ball well. They do push forward. They do run. But at times, Adelaide does not. They go through their lapses where they don't do that. You get what I'm saying? So, and I seen, like, I'm a big fan of Darcy Fogarty as the record shows, but I seen him just sometimes not running as hard as he should and put himself in a good position to be forward, and especially with Tex Walker going through, Crows going through the situation that Tex Walker put him through. They're not as strong up forward as you would like, relying on a lot of young talent. So you're asking a lot out of them boys, man. And but I do like I said, I do like the midfield, but I'm not quite convinced that they'll make a big leap like that, but I would love to be proved wrong. Shout out to Josh Rochelli too, the rookie. He looked like he was ready to make a good presence up forward. So you never know, man. I would love to be proved wrong, but I see a lot more, I guess a little bit more promise and a little bit more talent on other teams and a little bit more consistency to build off of. So I'll go with solidify Adelaide Crows at the 16th spot.
It's tough.
It is tough. Go ahead.
Hey, moving on to 15. So now I got North at 15. I do think North is improving. I think they were ass last year. Everybody knows North was the shit team last year, but towards the end of the year, they definitely had their improvement. They were starting to look better as a team. They were looking for each other, and from what I've seen in this preseason or trial matches, they've improved on that. They look kind of more together. Like they talk more. They play. They just look good together right now, and I think the addition of Jason Horn-Francis, #1 player, #1 draft pick, I should say. He looks good with them. He looks like he's ready to take a leadership role. Not saying that one player is just gonna save the team, but I think they have the pieces together to get better at least. That's why they landed at 15. Yeah, that's all I got about them.
And it's 15 spot, right?
Yeah,
so
15.
All right. So as I talk myself through it, I do want to put Adelaide at the 15th spot. So that being said, the team I will drop below Adelaide will be the Gold Coast. So the Gold Coast, they last year I was a little. I liked the Gold Coast a little bit. Like in the beginning, not even just the beginning. I was convinced because they did have a good defense. The offense was definitely not. They left a lot to be desired, to say the least. With Ben King being the main forward up front, and knowing that that's their main focus, look at what we got now this year. We have Ben King out for season, which is definitely not what the fucking Gold Coast needs at this moment. But I did like I said, the way they pressure the ball sometimes when they play defense, and so going in and considering that they may be able to still have that strength going this year, and seeing in preseason that they did win the effort contest in the game that they did play against Geelong, they really dominated Geelong in the preseason. And so I am convinced on their effort, and I think that can only carry you so far when you still have the talent and you still have no forwards up front, essentially. And you're living off the back of Toot Miller. You get what I'm saying? And you gave up Greenwood, like we said earlier. It's tough to say that they can move much higher up the ladder, and I think Adelaide deserves a notch above them. So I'll stick with Gold Coast at 16 and Adelaide at 15.
Fair enough. So moving on to 14. I got Geelong Cats at 14. I think they're about to have a hard fall off. I think a lot of their players are getting old. I really put them in a similar position that West Coast is in, as far as old players getting old and retiring, just not being able to keep up with the speed and just the endurance of the young players. But the difference with West Coast and Geelong, in my opinion, is Geelong traded away a lot of their players to get these older players to win now. They were in a win now mentality, from my understanding, and they didn't win. So now they're just stuck with a lot of players. They're making some moves to try to get back. Like they have Jeremy Cameron. I think that's a lot of hope for the future and everything, but you still got, like Dangerfield, you got Tom Stewart, you got a lot of players that just, they ain't gonna be able to give you everything they used to give you. So yeah, Selwood. So yeah, I think it's just time for them to fall off, and I don't see their young players just carrying them to anywhere far up the ladder.
Okay, so let me go with mine. 14, interesting enough, I have Geelong Cats as well, and I agree. We agree on the same thing. For the most part, Geelong falling off from where they've been. And to add on to what you said, they haven't been tacking on the young talent as much as you would like. And when they did, Jordan Clark, they lost him to Freo this year. Dangerfield, last year, I wanted to see a lot more out of him, and he didn't really give me what I expected. So as a second-year fan, I'm hoping next year that he can give me what he used to be. I don't know if it's a complete write-off because of the age But there were flashes at the end of the last year, in the middle of last year, where Dangerfield did turn up and actually change the course of a game by himself, whether it was whether it was pushing up forward, even at the full forward position, and even in the midfield. So he can be an effective and damaging player, but like you said, you don't know how much he can give you, and one injury will really derail their whole season. And you've seen how Stewart being hurt last year hurt them a lot at the end of last year. And, Stewart's 28. I think Jeremy Cameron's 28. You got players who are in win now mode. And you don't really have a lot of youth to build around them. At least the speed that you said, that's a problem. You don't really have that much of that around. You have, but I will say you have Tom Hawkins. You have some forwards. Like you got Cameron, like you said. You got Hawkins. You got Rowan. And that's, I think, at times it can be lethal. But you have to be able to get the ball there, bro. And I'm not sure if they can do that, man. I think it'll be a fall off this year, and I see a lot more teams more promising than Geelong in the future. So I'll just have to solidify them in the 14 spot. Dekmon.
All right, moving on to 13. This is where I placed the Adelaide Crows, and for me, I like the Crows. I think they're a highlight team. I think they're gonna give you a good show anytime you watch them, but I also think they're gonna be silent for half a game at the same time, and I just don't think they have enough. It's like Adelaide was really a hard team to play because it's like they can do it, and I've seen times where they have done it, they just don't do it consistently enough to be a top team. And even with all the skill they do have, they a lot of times they have a player that's in contention for mark of the year or goal of the round or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
they just can't get nothing going consistently, and that's why I just placed them so low. But I like them. They just ain't gonna. They ain't no winning team either. They're entertaining, just not a winning team.
That's fair enough. 13 spot, I'm gonna go with the West Coast Eagles, man. I'm gonna go West Coast at 13. I guess it could be for a number of reasons. It can be the aging stars, who they've been riding their backs for a while. You really never know when an injury will hit with them, even on top of the injuries that they already have, which I think they're the most injury-riddled team right now in footy. It's just, the list can go on. I think Josh Kennedy's about to have to put the team on his back up forward at the moment, but he's going to need the midfield to be able to work to get to him. So it's just, a lot is dependent, and even within, I think now that a lot rides on the midfield, that means a lot rides on Nick Nat. So now it's just going to be a chain reaction of everybody having to work together, and I don't think, I think it's kind of far-fetched at the moment for them to make finals. Even with the healthy squad, I think they'll be with the healthy squad, I think they might be like right outside finals. I think they have talented players, but I don't know, and they know how to play together. But I'm not sure if they know how to win right now. Because a lot of the players that they have aren't necessarily – a lot of players that are featured nowadays aren't a part of that 2018 team. They have players who are, but a lot of players don't know how to win at the moment. But I will say, if the talent does all work together, they have a well-structured unit, I think, when they are healthy. So I think their team, when they work together, because they've been so long together and they hit on all cylinders, I think they can outwork and they can outplay a team that may have a little bit more talent, but it doesn't have that team chemistry and the cohesiveness, that West Coast can have. So, but I'll have them at 13 for that reason. I don't think that they'll be able to get it together with the injuries.
All right. So at 12 I got West Coast. West Coast Eagles all day, every day. And I agree with you on a lot of your points with them. For me, I think West Coast is about to go through an identity crisis. We're losing a lot of the guys that we kind of leaned on for a real long time. And we're going to have to change how we play. We're going to have to change how we do things. And we're really just in a period where we got to try to figure that out. I do think all the talent's still there. We have a great pool of talent. I think our young players are good. They're going to be getting a lot of time this year, especially with all the injuries. A lot of our key players are out half the season already. So, yeah, it's gonna, a lot of young players are going to get their time. We got 4 players just off SSP players. And then we got Campbell Chester who got hurt, so disregard him right now. It's going to be tough for us. And the only thing I'm banking on is some of our players coming back later in the year and us for sure getting some wins. But at the same time, those older players being there to mentor our younger players. So I think we have a good thing that could work out. But I just don't think it's going to come together this year to get us close to the 8 like that. So, yeah, this is where we fall, man, at 12.
On 12, it's funny because I have the fucking Magpies at 12, bro. I didn't expect to have them that high, but the more I sat and really thought about their list and thought about what they went through last year with the coaching change and what that brings, and Darcy Moore being hurt, which is one of the pillars of the team. I think, with a little bit more, I think consistency this season, they'll play a little bit better. From what I know, they've underachieved last year, and they weren't necessarily supposed to be that low. And I think they're like, maybe last year they took the opposite course of a certain team we'll talk about in a couple more picks. But Collingwood, they up 4. All right, who do you have up 4? You got Milechek. Grundy pushes up 4 sometimes. Obviously, he's a ruck. You got Jamie Elliott. Jamie Elliott's fucking, he can knock 5 goals real quick if he needs to. Is David Teague Jr. He played for Collingwood, right? I think there's a couple more for it. But then even then, bro, so midfield, you got Pendlebury still. You got Dacos, Josh. But then you got Nick, who's coming in, who's supposed to be a problem. You got side bottom. Bro, it's like Taylor Adams. They have a lot of talent there. Degoe, you have a lot of talent there, bro. And there was really no real reason. I mean, obviously there are slightly reasons, but I don't think they should have finished that low, despite what the fuck they went through, the coaching change and shit. So I think for that reason, I think they'll move up a little bit. They did look good at times. Degoe can take over a game. Pendlebury, we know how good he is with the ball. And Darcy Moore can change the game himself too. So I think their midfield should be decent enough to not have to give up the ball all the time and put pressure on Darcy Moore and them boys in the back. But I think they have strong enough forwards to be able to play both sides of the ball. But it's all just about to depend on effort and if Collingwood can get it done as a team collectively on the defensive end. So because they got the offense, bro. But
for sure, I guess. It's a big difference. I got them boys at 16. But
yeah.
All right, so moving on to 11. This is where I place Essendon. And the Bombers, they were a hard team for me to place, man. And I know they were real. Matter of fact, they made the 8 last year. Yeah,
they were.
They creeped into that 8 spot real late last year. And I was surprised then. They didn't seem like a consistent enough team to do it last year, but they made it. And I really didn't know where to place them this year, so they kind of just landed at, where we at 11? Shit. I don't know, man. I really don't. This is one of those teams I really didn't have too much reason. It's just I had to place them somewhere, and that's where they landed.
All right. 11?
Yeah.
All right, 11, I got the Saints, bro. St. Kilda. From what I'm told and the knowledge I gather, obviously the season before we started watching footy, they were in finals. I think they were at the 5 spot. Last year, they did pretty shit compared to the season before. And we've seen times where they had flashes of good moments and also shitty moments. There's no reason for them to get dominated by Carlton last year, I think, or in the manner that we did, considering that we are who we are and we have the rep that we have. But I think the Saints, off the back of Jack Steele, and if the midfielders can replicate his work ethic or 3/4 of his work ethic, then I think they'll be well off. Max King, I seen him. He's built size. He looks big. He looks stronger. He may be faster. I'm not sure. He might be smarter in the IQ from experience. But they just looked real inconsistent, bro. And it's hard to place them. And it was even more like they're inconsistent in their play in the midfield. They're inconsistent in their defensive pressure. They're inconsistent in their goal scoring ability from the set shots. There's just nothing consistent about this team, and you really don't know where to place them, man. And I would like to think Tim Membry will have a bigger year this year. I think, but if he continues to disappoint, I think he was kind of disappointed last year. I kind of wanted to see more from him, but I didn't. It's just, like I said, it's hard to place them, and I think other teams are easier to gauge. I think the Saints, based off what I've seen from last year and that level of play that they can play at times defensively, puts them above the teams that we've talked about on the ladder already. But the teams ahead of them, I'm just more faithful in the consistency. And so, just with that, I'm gonna go ahead and go with them at 11.
I got you. All right, so number 10. Number 10, I got Richmond. The Richmond Tigers. I was kind of surprised they landed this high for me. But I think they know how to win. I like the aggressiveness they play with in the midfield, and I think we definitely learned last year that midfield wins games. I think the midfield is Richmond's strong suit. They definitely have some stuff they can work on still. But they still got Dusty, and I think Dusty's gonna be playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this year, just losing his dad. I think Shy Bolton's gonna play good this year. He's kind of learning his position and knowing where to be at the right time. And they, like I said, they just play with that aggressiveness that a lot of teams with a weaker midfield will fold under. And just because of that, I have them winning a lot of games, but I don't see them beating any top tier teams. If you can deal with the pressure from Richmond, then you should be able to beat them, and that's why they landed at the 10th spot for me.
All right, my 10th spot, I'm about to go with the Sydney Swans. Sydney, I think Sydney overachieved last year. I think in the midfield, losing Hewitt and Dawson are hurt. I've been known to say that on the record. I think both of that will hurt, so that's going to put more pressure on the players. You have younger players there in that positioning too, so I think that's just going to have to be a heavier burden for them to carry. You have an aging Buddy who's not about to play consistently next year, obviously because how few and in between he played last year. He didn't really have a schedule. He wasn't playing like back-to-back games, it seemed like. Not throughout the year, at least. I will say I liked what I seen from Nick Blakey, the Lizard. He was cool running off halfback last year, and this year he's really in the preseason. At least he seemed to get every damn touch running off that line. I like Errol Golden. He seems cool. Logan McDonald, maybe I'm not sure if he'll get time this year. He got a little time in the preseason, but I know he was a big pick, not this past year, but the year before that. Got a little early time, got scrapped, didn't really get much time throughout much of the season at all. But Tom Hapley's hurt early in the season. I think you can ride the back of the youth for so long. But like I said, I think they overachieved. I don't think they'll win in dominant fashion as they did last year sometimes. I think certain teams have, like I said, I keep saying this every time, but I think other teams have improved a little bit more than they did. Yeah. I don't think they really had too great of an offseason, to be honest, in my opinion. I didn't. And I am keeping an eye on Callum Mills. I know he had a little injury early, but I think he's supposed to be coming back, but I want to keep an eye on him too because I think he might actually feel the most pressure, him and Luke Parker, in the midfield due to the losses that they have. So we'll see, man. If they prove me wrong, then I'll believe in Sydney, but I think it was just that last year.
So pick number 9. Ladder position number 9, if you don't mind. I got the Saints at 9. I like the Saints, man, but I see them just missing the 8. They just don't have enough. I really like Max, bro. Like you said, Max got stronger this year. Max was looking good towards the end of last year. He was really becoming a good mark target for them. I know he fucked West Coast up one game. And ever since then, he seems like he's really filling into that role of being that guy for the Saints. And I really think they just needed somebody to fall on, especially in that forward role. And since they got that, I see them moving up the ladder, but I still don't see it being enough. They also have a good pressure team. They're great defensively. The midfield is definitely one of their strong suits for sure, but similar to Richmond, if you can deal with that pressure, you could probably beat them. But I give them that advantage over Richmond because they got that, that sharpshooter and Max King, that mark target that is just reliable. Well, I'm expecting him to be reliable this year, so I give the Saints number 9.
With my number 9, I'm about to go with Essendon Bombers, bro, at the number 9 spot, man. I think this year, I like the midfield with McGrath, Parrish, Zach Merritt. I like them. I like how active they are around the ball. My problem with them, I like their back line. I like Francis. I like fucking Jordan Ridley. I think Jordan Ridley's going to be a great player as he gets older and gets a little bit more size on him, strength on him. But my problem with them is, they got Nick Hine too on the back line. If we just still talking about defense, he was the Adam Saad replacement and didn't cause shit, but seemed to put up the same production that he did. So they got a bargain out of that, and they got the young players Perkins and Nick Cox and Harry Jones. You got a lot of young talent there too. Like I said, but their talent I think is, their problem this year will be their 4 targets. All they have for the most part that I know is Peter Wright, Tumita Pita, and Harry Jones. But other than that, they don't have too much up front going forward. You got McDonald, Tip, and Woody, who was out. I know you got Dev Smith there. But I think Stringer was supposed to be having a great year, but did he get like injured or something like that? Or something he had some type of setback, I think. But that means you're gonna have to rely on a lot of goals from Stringer though, even if he's there though. Because I don't think Peter Wright is the most accurate up front either, from set shot from the goal. So I think that'll catch up with them. I like Essendon, like I said, I like their midfield, but I don't think they'll be strong enough to beat. Where we on the 9th spot? I don't think they'll be strong enough to be in the 8. I think they'll slightly fall off this year, and they'll fail to miss it.
All right, man. Moving on to the finals team.
Top 8.
If you don't mind. So my 8 spot, just barely making the 8. Unfortunately, I got Frio. But I just think they're looking like a different team this year. I think they picked up Jordan Clark, which is great. He's looking good for him. I think Michael Frederick is coming into a spot as a forward, just showing great athleticism in that spot. He's becoming a mark target, or at least becoming a forward that just demands the ball, that can always just make those good cuts to get the ball in. I think Frio definitely needed that in the forward, and they got that in him now. I think they saying Nate Fife is in great form. He got the goatee now, so once they get the beard, they probably a different player. Haven't got to see him play yet, but it's all rumor, and I don't know, it sounded good from Nate Fife, and they still got Mundy, and Mundy's just an old machine that just never stops running. And I really think they got a chance to do something this year. I think they got the midfield, they got the scoring. I just think they need to stay consistent, and if they can do that, I think they're a good team to make a run for the 8. Also, I just want West Coast to be represented in the finals somehow. Well, West Australia, if you don't mind. And if it got to be through Frio, man, I'd rather it be through Frio than nobody, man.
That's crazy to hear, bro. So if I'm going A spot, man, I'm about to go exactly the same way you did, man. Frio make the finals, man. With the A spot. Everything you say pretty much makes sense, man. Just to add a couple things, I think they are one of the faster teams. They move the ball fast. They're a team that moves with pace, moves with tempo. And they have a lot of young talent to assume that they'll turn up. You got Liam Henry over there. You got Matt Taberner, who's decent. He's good. Sean Darcy, I think, is top 5 ruck. You got Rory Lobb up front, who didn't get to go anywhere. Who's at forward? Like you said, Nat Fife is supposed to be primed for a great year this year coming up. Brayshaw, who's in the middle of his prime. You got Caleb Sarong in the midfield. Collier. There's a couple other midfield, like you said, Frederick. Then in the back line, you got Griffin Logue and Alex Pierce. I think there's somebody else that I'm missing that's back there. Luke Ryan. Is it Luke Ryan? No, it's not Luke Ryan. I drafted him on my fucking fantasy, but bro, it's like they look pretty decent, bro. You got players everywhere on each side of the ball, man, and I think they'll make a leap. I don't think they're gonna make a crazy leap, but I do think they'll improve enough to make the final spot. And I'm assuming that they will get their set shot woes together. Fife didn't play too well in front of set shot in front of goal, so you can't play much worse than you did. So there's always room for improvement there. And yeah, man. Once you got a dominant ruckus, and especially if you're budding and you're young, something scary.
For sure. All right, man. Moving on to number 7. That's where I got your boys, man. The boys in blue. Carlton, number 7, man.
Finals Carlton.
Yeah, I actually think new coach Michael Voss coming in play. It really changed the whole dynamic of their team. Just the way they look all together. Their midfield is coming together. Patrick Cripps is supposed to be healthy now. Apparently he played last year fucked up with a fucked up back. It's crazy as shit. They got spots open. I think players are going to be fine for a spot, especially since Walsh is out the first few rounds. It's going to be a fight to who gets that midfield spot, so I think a lot of players are going to want it. I think early season they're going to be good. They're going to be a set team early. I think they're going to coast through the rest of the season, honestly, because they have the defense. They have the players in the back that could stop other teams from scoring. Now they got a midfield that can come together. If they can get the forward straight, if they can score, then I think Carlton could be a team that people got to worry about, man.
Hope so, man. And you can tell I'm hoping so because with my 7th spot, I'm not going Carlton. I'm going, and you'll be even more surprised than I am, the Richmond Tigers at 7th spot, man.
Whoa.
So, Richmond, bro, there's just something about Richmond I'm not quite ready to give up on yet, man. They did fall off. They did endure a bunch of injuries last year. I will say that, especially the key players, especially in the defense and midfield particularly. But they went out in the draft. They drafted, I think, 2 defenders at the very least. Josh Gibkins being number 1. I was excited to see him play. And he looked pretty decent out there, man. So, him to add back there, they say what I read was Cochin's prime for a great year this year coming up. So if that's the case, and Dusty, I'm already giving him the benefit of the doubt because his father passed. I think he's about to I'm assuming that he's about to dedicate this season. That's what great players of his caliber, I would like to think, do, and turn up in honor of of a loved one who passed away. And you just see it time and time in sports. So I'll give him that. I think he'll do that. Rewalt is still at the age he is, still doing crazy marks. Was top 3 mark of the year last year, candidate. They lost Cho, which I think will be tough. But you got Nan Curvis in the ruck. You got some size on you there. They got, like you said, they do the pressure. They put a lot of defensive pressure on you. Almost called him Jerome. Liam Baker looked real good in the preseason. He looked active, bro. He looked like he was real fast, and he looked like he was putting pressure on the ball, man. So there's just a lot that I think they got going for him. If Tom Lynch can be a little bit more consistent, be a little bit more of an option for the midfield. And if the midfield can hit him and they get on the same page, I think they could be a team not quite what they were supposed to be when what they were when they were winning the championship, winning the flags. But I think that we'll still see glimpses of what they were, but not quite to the extent of being top tier, top caliber team. So if not, I look foolish because I could definitely see them run the 13th spot. But I think it's tough to place these teams, really 8 through 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Richmond there. Hopefully, I look good, man.
All right, man. Moving on to number 6. Number 6, I got Sydney. So you seen the thing? Sydney last year was a fluke. I don't. I think that they have a lot of young players, a lot of young talent that finally had a chance last year, and I think they're just going to improve on that this year. I think they had that little taste of success, and I expect them to keep on growing as a team. Buddy's getting his 1,000 goal this year, and I don't know what he's going to do after that, but they got a good young core to build around, and I think we're going to continue to see some growth out of them boys. I think we're going to see a lot more consistency out of them. So I think they're going to be pretty straight. I think they're going to get that 6th spot.
I forgot to add, I think they did improve in the ruck, too, getting Peter Laddams from Port, too. Because, you know, Hickey could have just overachieved last year. Never know. He had, like, his best year. So you never know. I don't think he –
You're right.
You know, so they got a little depth right there. 6th spot, man, I'm going to go with the GWS Giants, man. GWS had times where their midfield looked dominant. I would say in the preseason trial matches, they looked pretty good. Last year, well, I guess the narrative last year was they were hurt all the time and they were getting rid of, but they still worked hard and they worked their way to wins. Time and time again, even against the hardest of times when they were pushed away from home because of COVID, and they were on the road for consecutive weeks, for multiple weeks, like over a month and a half, a month, something like that. They continue to go on the road, and they won, bro. Games that I don't think they really necessarily should have won. But they're a team that gave me. I'm sold on that reputation that I can never really write them off in my tips. So I think they will make finals again. On top of the talent that they have, you got Lockie Whitfield, who's looking like a very good player. You got Toby Green, obviously, who's one of the best forwards in the league. He is going through the suspension, so I think that will hamper them a little bit, but I don't think enough. You got Tom Green, who's a rising star. Well, he played like a rising star last year. But I think they do need a little bit more help up forward. They got Himmelberg, they got Hogan, they got Green. But Green is the only one I'm really sold on to give me something every night. I like Sam Taylor in the back. I do like that, even though I think it was Buddy. Buddy gave him the damn business last year. Oh, no, Tom Hawkins. Tom Hawkins gave that boy the business. But Tom Hawkins is a big boy. I like Sam Taylor, though, despite that. I think he has a bright future. I think he'll be pretty good. I like that. I do kind of like them. They're okay. I just don't. Canelio will have to play good. Canelio will have to. He can't play like last year. He'll have to actually play. Yeah. I think Josh Kelly. The midfield has to be great. If the midfield's great, I think they'll be a great team and they can make finals. But the midfield's not doing shit. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to place them though. They're kind of like St. Kilda. I don't know. Every week I don't know really what direction to tip them, man. But they're definitely not the same bracket. Obviously, there's 5 different spots, 5-spot difference. But yeah, I'm gonna just stick with GWS at 6, man.
So I'm moving on to number 5. I got Port Adelaide, man. So with Port, they disappointed me last year. They never really beat any top tier teams. They just really they were good. They could play together well. They were even a winning team. They even made it far in the finals, but they just didn't. They weren't convincing. And until they convinced me, they're not in my top 4. I just want to see more from them, and until they can beat top teams consistently, they just where they land, man. I don't think they changed too much in the offseason. I still think they got most of the talent they had last year, but they just weren't doing it last year, so they gotta show me.
Yeah, man, can't argue that, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. We on pick 5, bro. Cameron went out. Mike fucking up. Technical difficulties. Whole new day. Back now. I'll pick up where we left off, man.
All right, man. And so for me, to round out my top 5, I'm about to go ahead and... Who y'all been waiting for me to place on my ladder, man? The good old Carlton Blues, man. Now, y'all might say, oh, STEEZ, bro, you got them high as fuck, bro. I know y'all probably already thinking that, man. But look, I am a believer in this squad, man. Last year, like I said, we did have a strong list to the point where I think that we did underachieve, and we should have at least been a little bit closer to making finals, if not making finals last year. There's leadership in the front, in the forward, the mid, and the back line, bro. So it's like you strengthen the midfield this year in the offseason, and I think that I like to see. I like the growth that I've seen in the preseason and even throughout last season from the youngsters, and I think that we have a lot of contributions and a lot of players who played. Well, some players who played key roles last year won't even get that chance due to the depth that we acquired this year. So Carlton, but also got to speak on the Michael Voss changing up the whole defensive pressure. It just looks like a new team under Voss, and there's just a lot of changes. So I'm not really going off what happened last year, and I'm hoping for a fresh slate, new start, and that's what Voss giving us. So I think there will be a jump this year in Carlton, bro. It's strong faith, but it's also a lot of knowledge and behind besides just blind faith. So Carlton at 5, man.
All right. So number 4 spot. I think this is going to shock a lot of people, maybe a few people, unless you're a fan of them. But I got GWS. For me, GWS is the team that everybody's going to sleep on this year, at least coming into the season. I don't expect them to be very high on a lot of people's ladder, but I do think they're a team that wants it bad enough. They showed that they can win. They showed they can compete with any team in the league right now. And that was for most of the year without Canelio, supposedly one of their best players. They got so much talent right now. They have to pick 3 captains, man. They couldn't even decide who they wanted. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them play. I really think, especially once Toby Green gets back, they'll be probably one of the better teams, man. They forward with Green, Himmelberg. Who else am I thinking of? I ain't even about to get into the names because I'm about to fuck that up. So, Whitfield. Man, they got the talent. They can be the team, man. That's why I'm expecting to be a real heavy upset this year. So yeah, GWS at 4.
All right, I will go. Okay, at my 4th spot, I'm going with Port Adelaide. So Port Adelaide, I feel like I have a love or hate relationship with Port because I want them to perform to the standard that their list should have. Because I think they're a well-structured team. I think me and you both said that last year, bro. They look like they don't have many holes on the list on paper. But watching this preseason, watching them against Adelaide, and knowing how Adelaide isn't as talented as a team as Port is, at times they just let Adelaide run them over a little bit. Adelaide just played a little harder, so it makes me think that Port is a team who's really just relying on talent and not really working as hard as they need to. They seem to be able to turn the game on sometimes when they want to, but I don't think they'll be able to necessarily just do that against higher quality teams, even in the mid-range too, because they beat up on the smaller teams, but not necessarily obviously the teams that were in finals. And so obviously with them at 4 and them winning the minor premiership and things like that, and finishing higher on the ladder. Obviously, there's teams under them that are in finals that they'll have to continue to beat. That being said, I don't think that if they do continue this trend of not being able to beat teams in the 8, that's going to be very disappointing. I'll definitely lose a lot of respect for them as a club going forward. But I don't think that will stand true. I do think that they'll have their lapses, enough lapses to drop them out of the top 3 though. So I keep them at 4 based off the talent that they have, and the spurts that they can go through.
For sure. All right. Moving into the top 3, and these 3 spots, I do think they're locked in. No matter what order it falls, I do think this is going to be top 3 regardless. But at the bottom of my 3, I got the premiership winners last year, if you don't mind, Melbourne Demons. I got them at 3. And it's really just because I think they're going to fall off a little bit this year. I think they broke that 57-year spell. I think they might, they might be a little more chill. They don't have as much to prove. They've proven it last year. And I think with a lot of teams just in sports, after you win it, you get a little more lax. You know that you've done it before, but the other thing is all these other teams are getting better and they want your spot, and just because of that, I think they're going to get passed up. Only by 2 teams, but they're not going to get that number 1 spot in my opinion. But they got a great team. They got a solid team. I can't take nothing away from them. Playing wise, it's just they just won, so they're going to fall a little bit.
All right, man. 3 spot, I'm going the Western Bulldogs, man. So my concerns with the Western Bulldogs are not too heavy because, I guess if I did have a concern, it would be with the forward depth and the key defenders in the back. Granted, the Dogs did go with pretty much just Alex Keith and not too much help back there, but that's with the knowledge and the understanding that the Dogs midfield, usually everybody push back and everybody assists out on defense and push forward together. It's just a collective group in the midfield, and it's one of the stronger in the comps, top 3, which is why I think they're definitely top 3. But if that midfield does decide to let off a little bit on defense, it may be a little bit of Carlton shit going on, man, as far as giving up strings of goals. So that will be something that I keep an eye on. I don't think they really address defense too much. They lost Lewis Young, which I don't think they held too high, but it's still somebody that you lost, and he went to Carlton. From the forward perspective, I think, look, they're good on the wing with Trelaw. They're good, you know what I mean? But it's just, now forward you have Josh Bruce, who will still be out for a chunk of the year with the ACL, MCL injury. Not sure which one it was. And you got Ugelhagen. You're putting your eggs in a basket in Ugelhagen, who was the first number 1 pick not last year, but the year before that. And he's young. He's still skinny. He's still small, and he's shown flashes, but he's not somebody that I think you'll put the burden on. And then you have Aaron Naughton, who's a target who can get injured anytime, as reckless as he flies. And, and Waitman kind of the same way, but he's not a tall forward anyway. But there's just a lot of question marks I have with the Dogs. But with that being said, even with all that question marks, I think they're still good enough to be top 3. So I don't think they're quite good enough as to beat the top 2 teams, in my opinion. So, yep.
Sure. All right, moving into my number 2, I got the Western Bulldogs, and I think so. They're still young. They're still hungry. They just missed it last year after coming up from the bottom 4 in the finals last year, just to barely miss it. Shit, on top of that, they were damn near top team most of last year in the regular ladder. So I think they're definitely playing with that in the back of their head all year, that we really folded, lost our top 4 spot, and then we made it all the way to the grand finals, then we folded again. So I really think they're just going to have that in the back of their head the whole time. They're really going to keep their foot on the gas all year. But I do think their injuries are going to slow them down a little bit. That's why I don't give them the number 1 spot. But I do think they got something to prove this year. They were forced to be reckoned with for sure. They still got one of the best midfields in my opinion. So yeah, they get the number 2 spot, man. I'm confident with that.
2 spot, I have the Brisbane Lions. I think Brisbane got off last year to a slow start, and I knew that they were supposed to be a very good team, and they didn't quite show it early on in the season, dropping game. I think the Adelaide the first game, and I think they kept losing until they really played Carlton, and then they ended up beating us and got on the road. So I don't think they'll endure that slow start that they will this year. I think like they had Rayner, who was out with the torn ACL before the season even started last year. They'll have him back, so that's a little bit more depth. You have, I think Joe Danaher can definitely have a better season than he did last year. I know Charlie Cameron will come with what he's been with all last season. He comes with the intensity. The midfield is strong. You know, you got Lockie Neal, and you got all these other players, bro, that know how to play together, that have played together, and I think they'll continue to play as well as they did last year, except also build on what they have. I think they're strong in the back. I think Harris Andrews have a more healthy year this year as well. You got depth of forward, like I said. Hipwood, he should be back sometime. And when Brisbane's really hitting on all cylinders, they look very good. They're playing beautiful footy. Ball movement really looks immaculate. They're strong on both wings. They defend when they need to. You get what I'm saying? So I don't see much going wrong for Brisbane throughout the season. And I think it'll have to be them playing down the competition for them to really drop more games than I think, in my opinion. So they're definitely in a top tier class compared to the rest of the league, in the top class. So that's why I got them at the 2 spot.
So for my number 1, I got the Brisbane Lions, man. And for me, I got these boys at number 1 because I think they're really the only team that just showed constant progression throughout the season. It's like each round, they was like, damn, we fucked up here. And then the next round, they got better at it. And then they fixed that spot. And it just seems like they continued that progression even through the off season to now. So now I think that they're going to be a team that's just ready to win it all. Like you said, I don't think they're going to have that slow start. I think they're going to start high, stay high, and finish high. They got the talent. What I like most about Brisbane is Charlie Cameron and just him in that leadership role, especially on the forward spot. Like he'll get upset if he makes a goal when, you know, another one of his players should have, you know, made a run or got an easier goal. He's real aware of just his situations, and he's trying to make everybody around him better. And with a player like that, it's hard to get worse when you got somebody like that that's on your ass. That's not only telling you what to do, but also doing it himself. So I'm putting a lot of faith in Brisbane this year. I do think they're going to be the best team. They got a great midfield that should be healthy this year. They can score for sure. I think that's was their strong suit. And they're not bad on defense either with Daniel Rich and shit like that. I mean, they got a squad for sure. So, them boys number 1, man.
Yeah. Number 1 spot on my ladder, I think this year will be long to the Melbourne Demons. I think they will continue to build off the momentum that they had last year. I think they're just too structurally sound, bro. I think they're well off down back in the midfield. Really, the halfback, half forward. Like, no matter where on the field, I think they have everything covered. And it shows last year that they have the depth, bro. They had a back who torn his ACL, and they were able to still win the premiership and really not have too much hiccups on the way. And when they did have those hiccups, to me, it was just them playing down to the competition because they lost to Adelaide, they lost to Collingwood, and those are teams that are really not in the same category as them, in my opinion. And I think you said you think that they'll just chill back a little bit. I think it's crazy because I'm not sure. It's a possibility, but I think this may be, and I hate to say it may be a new dynasty. If you don't mind, I think it's a possibility for sure, and we see footy that these happen with Hawthorn and Brisbane and Richmond, and so I don't know. We may be watching the beginning of one. They're still in great age range to be able to move forward and to keep building on what they have going. As long as everybody just buys in as a squad, as a club, and you see how Simon Goodwin, the coach, he had. The allegations or whatever he had against him, and Max Gawn really didn't care about none of that shit and kind of just backed him, and that just shows the strength of the club when the coach is definitely tied in and the club, the players are already all buying in, and everybody's tight knit, and I think that's what Melbourne is. So, barring any crazy injury to like Petrarca, Max Gone, Clayton Oliver, Jack Viney, really the key players. If they lose any of them, I think they can definitely fall down the slopes a little bit. But I think if they're graced by great health, I think that they'll continue to keep doing what they're doing, man. So I gotta have them at number 1, and until they fall off, I'm gonna keep them there.
Makes sense, man. So yeah, man, that's our 2022 AFL ladder predictions, man. Of course, I think I'm right all the way down, man.
Trying to tell you. But Richmond, you're gonna piss me off if I'm wrong.
Yeah, this been a long video already, man, and it's shit. That was been a 2-day video. What the fuck up? So, man, we gonna go ahead, cut this bitch off. Appreciate y'all. Of course, man, this is our anniversary video. We started with this, and we back here again.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah.